Newcastle United have made some very interesting signings in Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser and Jamal Lewis. Wilson and Fraser played key roles in Bournemouth's Premier League adventure, whereas Lewis was one of the bright spots of a pretty mediocre Norwich side. All three of these players will be looking forward to linking up for the first time in the black and white at St James's Park. Hello and welcome to OmniFoot TV. It's been a crazy week for football, it's been a crazy week for Premier League clubs, but today's focus is Premier League club Newcastle United. They've made three key signings, and it's not too often you actually hear about Newcastle pulling off good signings. These are the kinds of deals the club has been dying for, but these acquisitions don't change the fundamentally flawed nature of the club's degeneration under Mike Ashley by a long shot. Benitez's effort as Newcastle manager to pressure the owner into helping him sign the kind of talent he needed bore no fruit whatsoever, so it looks like Steve Bruce's laid-back demeanour has shifted things in his favour, if not ever so slightly, so you have to give him credit where it's due in that respect. Callum has 41 goals and has made 12 assists in 126 Premier League appearances for the Cherries, whereas Scottish winger Ryan Fraser has 16 and 12 in 120 appearances. Both players will inject the side with much more pace, precision and a sense of technique. Wilson's addition in particular will give the Toons something to look forward to up front, as their strike force has been a misfiring mess throughout the whole of last season, with the rest of the squad being forced to pick up the pieces for the most part. Their director of football has been unheard of for the most part. Ever since Steve Bruce took over as manager last season, all eyes have been on the Tyneside club. Bruce knew how short-handed he was. From the get-go. Not many people, and I don't think any of the fans I knew, wanted Bruce in charge of Newcastle. Any neutrals I knew obviously didn't think he was the right choice. His stats in the league aren't as good, and he's spent more time trying to ensure his team's survival than he has actually comfortably playing in the league. Out of the 36 games Newcastle United have played under Steve Bruce, they've accumulated 47 points, scored 37 goals and conceded 55. Although the numbers imply that the team has done a lot worse than you'd think, they did in fact manage to keep themselves a little bit above the relegation zone, and you have to give them credit for that. And with the signings they've made, the team is starting to look like a Steve Bruce side. While he's managed a good chunk of his career in the Championship, he's had quite the long career, given that it hasn't been quite a successful one, but it's been a long one. The club and its fans have had a summer to forget, and none of these positives, if you can call them that, make up for the horrors they've had to suffer throughout Mike Ashley's tenure as club owner. The takeover being the most recent example of an ordeal that's gone sour under Ashley. And speaking of the takeover, fans have swiftly condemned the Premier League and have gone as far as to protest outside Premier League headquarters. And here's the kicker. The league released an official statement. The Premier League was disappointed and surprised by the Newcastle United Football Club statement regarding its potential takeover by PCP Capital Partners, the Reuben Brothers and the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. The club's assertion that the Premier League has rejected the takeover is incorrect. The Premier League board has, on a number of occasions, given its opinions about which entities it believes would have control over the club should the consortium proceed with the acquisition. That opinion is based on legal advice. English Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters has told Sky Sports News that he sympathises with Newcastle supporters and says the top flight's owners and directors test remains under review, whereas the Newcastle owner has been looking for a buyer for over a year. He's said to have been growing frustrated over the continued sale process and is understood to be considering legal options. It truly has been a crazy summer overall, and Newcastle have arguably had to deal with the thick of it, with the expectations rising and plummeting harder than Shane McMahon. I guess that's the only way you can describe how these fans have felt, and I kind of feel sorry for them. Thank you for tuning in to today's video. It's been quite the interesting topic overall in football throughout the past week. Myself and the OmniFoot team have been following up on Newcastle's transfer business quite meticulously, and we've been following up on everything else. All the links to our social media accounts are down below if you want to keep up with what we're doing. And that, my good friends, is that for today's video. And I will see you next time the whistle blows.